My daughter and son-in-law shamed me for getting a tattoo at 75. I decided to give them a lesson. It was a sunny morning in New Orleans, and Ellis, at 75, decided to do something bold and unexpected. The idea of getting a tattoo had been bubbling in her mind for a while. She wanted to feel young again, to embrace life with a fresh sense of vigor. So, she walked into a tattoo parlor, chose a delicate design that symbolized her resilience and love for life, and got inked. She felt a rush of excitement and satisfaction as she admired the artwork on her arm. This was her statement to the world. Age was just a number. The unexpected backlash. Excited to share her new tattoo, Ellis invited her family over for a small gathering. She imagined their surprise and hoped for a positive reaction. However, the moment her daughter saw the tattoo, her face twisted in disapproval. "Mom, what on earth were you thinking?" she exclaimed. "At your age, getting a tattoo is not just inappropriate, it's downright embarrassing. You're supposed to be a dignified grandmother, not some rebellious teenager. It looks ridiculous, and people will laugh at you." For illustrative purpose only, Ellis felt a pang of hurt, but what followed was even worse. Her son-in-law, whom she had always treated like her own son, burst into uncontrollable laughter. He laughed so hard that he could barely stand, tears streaming down his face. "That's hilarious, Mom. Seriously, a tattoo at your age?" he managed to say between fits of laughter. Ellis's heart sank. It wasn't just the words, it was the cruel mockery that hurt the most. She felt humiliated and deeply wounded by their reactions. Planning the perfect payback. Determined not to let their harsh words and laughter define her, Ellis decided to turn her pain into power. She recalled how her son-in-law, a man who did nothing but dream of becoming a millionaire while relying on her daughter for everything, had hurt her deeply. This was the final straw. Ellis resolved to teach him a lesson he would never forget. Over the next 2 days, Ellis meticulously planned her revenge. She decided to expose her son-in-law's laziness and lack of ambition in a way that would be both humiliating and eye-opening for him. She reached out to a few of her friends who were skilled in various trades, including one who was an excellent actor. The day of reckoning. 2 days later, Ellis put her plan into action. She invited her family over again, this time under the pretense of needing help with some household repairs. Her son-in-law, always looking for an excuse to avoid real work, reluctantly agreed to come. When they arrived, they found Ellis waiting with a toolbox and a list of chores that needed to be done. She handed the list to her son-in-law, who looked bewildered. "What's this?" he asked, confused. "I thought you could help out with these tasks," Ellis said sweetly. "After all, you're always talking about how handy you are." For illustrative purpose only, he glanced at the list, which included tasks like fixing the leaky faucet, repairing a broken fence, and rewiring a lamp. He looked around, realizing there was no way he could do any of these tasks. Just as he was about to protest, Ellis's friend, the actor, arrived dressed as a professional contractor. He introduced himself and began to demonstrate how to tackle each task, making it look easy. The son-in-law watched, flustered and embarrassed, as he fumbled with the tools, unable to keep up. A lesson learned. As the day progressed, it became clear that the son-in-law was utterly incapable of completing even the simplest tasks. Ellis watched with a mixture of satisfaction and pity. Her daughter, seeing her husband's incompetence, began to realize how much she had been enabling his laziness. Ellis's plan worked perfectly. By the end of the day, her son-in-law was exhausted, humiliated, and forced to confront his lack of practical skills. Ellis pulled him aside and, with a calm but firm voice, said, "You laughed at me for wanting to feel young and alive again. But look at you now. Maybe it's time you grew up and started taking responsibility for your life." Her words struck a chord. The son-in-law, humbled by the experience, apologized for his behavior. He promised to make a real effort to improve and become more self-reliant. Ellis accepted his apology but made it clear that she would not tolerate any more disrespect. Moving forward in the weeks that followed, Ellis noticed a change in her son-in-law. He began taking on more responsibilities and actively sought to better himself. Her daughter, too, started to appreciate her mother's strength and independence. As for Ellis, She continued to embrace life with the same youthful spirit that led her to get the tattoo. She joined a local fitness class, started attending social events, and even began dating again. She proved to herself and everyone around her that age was no barrier to living life to the fullest. Ellis's bold step had not only rejuvenated her spirit but also brought about a much-needed change in her family. And every time she looked at her tattoo, she smiled, reminded of the strength and courage it took to stand up for herself and teach a valuable lesson in the process.